Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is to dig into a whole stack of sources. We've got economics, culture, some really surprising science, and pull out the key nuggets that really define this moment in November 2025.
And it really is a moment of collision, isn't it? One of the sources had this great observation about how, music and news have changed so fast, but sometimes the old way just feels better.
Right.
It mentioned how Chinese rock music is still sort of brewing in these unlikely corners like Kuala Lumpur.
That's a perfect hook for what we're doing. It raises the question, what is being totally transformed right now and what parts of our world are, refusing to change?
Exactly. And our deep dive today really follows that exact tension. We'll go from the huge race in AI and electric cars,
Yeah.
all the way to ancient traditions, geopolitical flashpoints, and then even down to the basic laws of science and art that underpin everything.
So let's start where the money is, because
Yeah.
that really shows us where the transformation is happening fastest. The race for AI supremacy. The amount of capital is just staggering. I mean, we saw the AI coding startup, Cursor, raise a landmark funding round.
It was a $2.3 billion Series D.
$2.3 billion. And that pushed its valuation to $29.3 billion.
$29.3 billion. And think about what that is. It's a coding assistant. It's a utility. This isn't just about building the big AI models anymore.
No.
This is huge investor confidence in the tools that developers use. The race is on to dominate that layer.
So the insight isn't just the big number, it's the focus. The market is betting almost $30 billion that just making human programmers faster is the key.
It is. It says acceleration is the new currency.
What does that mean for junior coders, though, if the barrier to entry gets that much lower?
Well, that's the big question. And if you want to accelerate AI, you need infrastructure. Which brings us to Google.
Oh, right. Their commitment to Texas is their largest investment in any single U.S. state ever.
$40 billion planned through 2027.
$40 billion. And this isn't, just a few new offices. This is fundamental infrastructure.
Absolutely. New cloud and AI centers. They're building 3 entirely new data center campuses.
3. Wow.
So it's a huge strategic move to make Texas a primary hub in this global AI race. And it's not just the buildings, it's jobs, it's talent, it's even a $30 million energy impact fund to back it all up.
This is the real-world physical foundation for that digital transformation we were just talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift to another tech battleground then, the EV market. The global sales rankings for September 2025. They still showed Tesla at the very top.
Yes, the Model Y and the Model 3 were number 1 and 2 globally, which is pretty impressive when you think about it.
Because they're premium models.
They're premium models, and they're competing against much cheaper cars, and plug-in hybrids are on that list too. The Model Y even reclaimed its title as Europe's best-selling car overall, not just electric.
That sustained performance is amazing. But what happens when you look just below those top 2 spots? What does the rest of the chart tell us?
That the market is fragmenting fast. Below Tesla, it's dominated by Chinese manufacturers, especially BYD.
Right.
And that's the key strategic point. They're winning by focusing on accessible city cars, they control their battery supply, and they use cheaper battery chemistries to keep the costs down. So they're just owning the volume game below that premium tier.
Okay, so that's the speed of change, the flow of capital. Let's build a bridge here. Because if that was all about what money can accelerate, what about the things money can't touch? Tradition, endurance, conflict.
And we saw some beautiful examples of tradition in November. You had this wonderful contrast in Thailand on the 5th and 6th.
2 festivals.
Yipeng and Loi Krathong. For Yipeng, you have thousands of these sky lanterns, the Calm Loi, being released to let go of misfortune.
And then for Loi Krathong, they float these little decorated baskets on the rivers to honor the water goddess.
They're just these incredibly beautiful living traditions. But even there, the modern world creeps in.
The safety regulations, right. They had banned the sky lanterns in the city center.
Exactly. So the big events became these organized, ticketed things outside the city.
And then for total contrast, you go to Czechia, where tradition is happening. It's completely immune to technology, transhumans.
It's the annual migration of livestock. And in November, a Czech shepherd led his entire flock of sheep and goats on a 4-day trek.
Entirely on foot.
Entirely on foot, from their summer pastures to their winter grounds. Just 4 days of walking, crossing streams, exactly as it's been done for generations.
Wow. Okay, so from that peaceful endurance we have to talk about the opposite, where global tensions completely overwhelmed a local event.
The football match, Aston Villa versus Maccabi Tel Aviv in Birmingham.
And the context here is so important. Birmingham has the UK's highest Muslim population, around 30%. The atmosphere was
This
tense.
is an understatement. They deployed over 700 police officers for one match.
1,100.
And the point here is that the security and the tension completely overshadowed the actual sport. There were pro-Palestinian protests outside the stadium, 11 arrests.
And didn't the Maccabi fans end up not even coming?
They declined their tickets, yeah. They cited a toxic atmosphere, and there had been some violent clashes before in Amsterdam. So they just start away.
This is the result? Aston Villa winning 2-0. It became completely irrelevant.
Totally. It's a perfect example of how a huge global conflict can just warp a local event, turning a game into a security liability.
But on a purely sporting level, we did see some incredible individual endurance.
Oh, absolutely. In badminton, the world #1, Shiyuki, had this epic comeback. He saved 4 match points in a 94-minute match
94 minutes.
to win 25-23 in the final game. Just relentless.
And speaking of relentless, Stephen Curry. He just kept going. A 49-point game against the Spurs.
Which tied him with Michael Jordan for the most 40-point games after turning 35.
That is just, it's generational excellence. Enduring.
Let's pivot now to our last section. Let's dive into some foundational knowledge. The things that sort of ground our world from the stars down to, well, us.
And we can start literally with the power of the sun. There was a massive solar flare.
The strongest of 2025, an X5.1 class flare. And it sent a huge wave of charged particles right at Earth.
And the result was that the northern lights, the aurora, were seen incredibly far south.
That's the thing. It's an astronomically predictable event in a sense, but it delivered this profoundly surprising result here on Earth.
Right. People in Florida and Texas were seeing these amazing green and pink and purple skies, even downtown Chicago and Boston. Wait, you said it was predictable but surprising. What do you mean? Like, was the flare stronger than we thought it would be?
It's a bit of both. The flare's intensity was very high, sure, but it really just highlights how disconnected most of us are from these huge solar cycles that are happening all the time.
We take them for granted.
We completely do. And then when one of these forces makes itself visible over, downtown Dallas, everyone is shocked.
So while the cosmos was putting on a show, we found a really weird biological anomaly here on Earth in Sulphur Cave.
Yes, on the Albania-Greece border. And it's genuinely unique. Scientists found a communal spider web.
Okay.
A single web over 100 square meters containing an estimated 111,000 spiders.
111,000. What kind of spiders are we talking about?
That's the crazy part. They're common house spiders and one other species, and both are typically solitary. They shouldn't be doing this. They don't build colonies.
So what's making them? What's forcing them to build this spider city?
It's the ecosystem. The cave's environment is powered by sulfur-oxidizing microbes, and those microbes feed this insane abundance of midges, which is the spider's food.
So it's an all-you-can-eat buffet.
An endless buffet. And that resource abundance is apparently driving this new colonial behavior. And get this, the spiders in the cave are already becoming genetically distinct from the ones outside. We're watching evolution happen in real time.
Wow. Okay, let's look at some human foundations now. Starting with the scientific revolution. Johannes Kepler died in November of 1630.
And Kepler just fundamentally changed how we see the universe. For 2,000 years, the dogma was that planets moved in perfect circles. It was a philosophical belief. His first law proved, mathematically, that they move in ellipses.
And he did that using data, right? He didn't just guess. He used Tycho Brahe's meticulous observations.
He did, and that collaboration, if you can call it that, was full of tension. Brahe guarded that data so jealously.
Right, I heard that.
But that struggle is what's so important. It forced Kepler into this incredibly rigorous empirical analysis, and that's his legacy. He proved that nature follows discoverable mathematical laws, and that moves science away from just philosophy and towards evidence.
It's a perfect parallel to what we see in the art world with Claude Monet. We looked at his painting from 1872, Impression, Sunrise.
That painting literally gave the Impressionist movement its name. A critic saw it in an exhibition in 1874 and mocked the artists, calling them Impressionists.
He meant it as an insult.
Yeah, as a total insult, but the name stuck, and the revolution was profound. Monet wasn't trying to paint a perfect, realistic scene. He was prioritizing his immediate visual impression of it. It was all about light, color, and capturing a fleeting moment.
He wasn't painting reality, he was painting his perception of reality.
Exactly. And that just fundamentally changed everything about how art was made and how we see the world.
Which brings us right back to where we started. That tension between breakneck speed and and quiet endurance, between a $40 billion infrastructure plan and an ancient ritual.
We've seen the constancy of Kepler's laws playing out in a solar flare, and we've seen the foundational shift in perception that Monet kicked off.
And we are living through a period of just intense transformation, the acceleration of AI, the flow of capital, global politics, warping local life.
So here's the final thought. Kepler showed us that nature follows predictable laws. Monet showed us that human perception is subjective and can be revolutionary.
Given the incredible speed of the AI and tech transformation we just covered, what's the one non-obvious thing in our lives today, in November 2025, maybe it's digital, maybe it's cultural, that future generations will look back on?
And realize it was the moment our whole perception of reality changed. The thing that was our impression, sunrise, the moment that fractured the old way of seeing things.
What are you taking for granted today that years from now will be seen as the moment the world cracked open? That's something to think about as you navigate all this change.